Okay, guys, it's time for the final power rankings of the season for MotoGP. Who ends up number one? Who sneaks in? Where do we all come out after, how many races do we have? 18? 19? 18 rounds of pretty entertaining MotoGP action. Now, if you haven't been following along all season, we've been doing these power rankings after every round, and basically what we're doing is these are our power rankings across MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 based on form and championship position, just to see who the most powerful man in the field is. At number 10, I've managed to sneak him in. I've just managed to sneak him in. He's a decent finish to the season here, a little bit of form, consolidates himself fourth in the World Championship, is Jack Miller. I thought this was good enough. I mean, he had to do this, didn't he? He had to get fourth here. He could not fall behind Zarco. He wasn't going to catch Mir, but he'll know that he should have been in that fight for second or third, and he's messed up a couple of important moments in the season, but strong finish to the season. Get your podiums, go home, test, come back again next year, have another crack. At number 9, managed to keep him in there. He's down a spot from last week, is Marc Marquez. Just obviously missing the last two races, but really he would have been actually squeezing Miller and Zarco for those 4th and 5th places in the championship had he not missed these two races. And I do think that despite finishing a bit lower in the championship than the likes of Jack, he's won races this year. He's done a shift, missed 4 races and still ended up like 7th or wherever he is. So Marc Marquez, we've managed to fit him in there at number 9. He's down a place from his position last week, obviously dropping slowly through without racing, basically. At number 8, really form man. He's just hovered in this bottom 3 positions of this top 10 for the last few weeks. Is Enea Bastianini. We put him up a place here just because Mark's dropping down. He had a decent result in Valencia. Didn't set the house on fire, but you know what? Did his thing. And this guy's one to watch. And Miller's going to have to keep an eye on him coming through, don't worry. Spoiled for choice now, Ducati, aren't they? At 7, down 3 places, is Dennis Foggia. I do love the guy. I do love him. We've dropped in 3 places here because at the end of the day, he's not had any good results to finish the season with. I know in Portimao wasn't really his fault, but second in the World Championship, only guy taking it to Pedro in the end after Sergio Garcia's injury layoff that he had there for a little bit. I think this might have been the first race that he's actually finished that he's not finished on the podium all year, and that is quite impressive. And when you think about that, he's going to rue those missed opportunities where he didn't finish races. Italy's got another real talent on their hands here. Obviously all the talk's about Pedro, and all the talk will be about Pedro, and deservedly so, but he's an impressive guy, Dennis Foggia. He's a few years older than Pedro, but look out for him. At number 6, upper place, Joan Mir just held 3rd in the championship, did his thing all year. I finished the season with his usual consistency, and whilst didn't set the house on fire at any Grand Prix all season, 3rd in the championship. Yep, cool. 6, the power rankings. I mean, yeah, when you finish races, you finish high in the championship, it turns out. I mean, look at Brad Binder. They ended up 6th, remarkably. I think there was only one race he didn't score points in, so you got to finish races, and he does that, and he finishes them usually pretty high up. At number 5, now, let me know where you've got these next to, because at number 5, I've got Raul Fernandez, and at number 4, I've got my boy Remy Gardner, Moto2 World Champion. Now, I've got Fernandez at number 5 here. He stays his position from last week. Remy's down a place. A lot of people will be thinking, if you're doing power rankings, he's finished the season with a flurry of wins again, and, you know, all that stuff, Raul Fernandez. Form, good, won the race in Valencia, did what he had to do to win the World Championship. Unfortunately for him, Remy just brought it home, kept it on 2 wheels. So I'm sure some people would probably be like, you know what, Raul Fernandez ahead of Remy Gardner. Yeah, not me though, because I like a world champion and I do like race winners, but at the end of the day, Remy Gardner still won like 5 races. And if you win 5 races and become world champion, I don't necessarily think it matters if the other guy won more races than you. You were bloody good, right? And the fact that Raul Fernandez has won 8 races or 7 races, whatever the hell he's won, 8 races, and not been able to accumulate, I mean, he's almost got there. But there's a reason why he's not got as many points as Remy Gardner. And it's because A, didn't keep it up right enough, and B, he had too many races where he just didn't have it. There were just races where he just sinked down to 4th or 5th, 6th, whatever. Didn't bring home the points. And you know, Remy was just like comes second, third all the time. You know, so I've got Remy ahead of him. Tell me what you think. But I thought Remy was probably better this season, and that's why he's got more points. Remy at 4, Raul Fernandez at 5. And by the way, Raul Fernandez, like, I know he's a kid, right? He's still a young guy, Raul Fernandez. But to come out and say what he said, that he's the moral champion because he won more races, in what form of motorsport have you ever sat there and gone, well, the guy who wins the most races should be world champion. That's never how it's worked, and it never will be how it works. There's a point system for a reason, because it rewards not only being fast and winning races, but it also rewards consistency and not just winning a heap of races and crashing in a heap of other races. Like, it doesn't work that way. You're a young guy, Ral, I'll let you go this time, but we don't like that kind of saltiness here on Rob GP. It doesn't sit well with me. You know, come out and say so. Just be gracious. I'm sure someone's probably had a word to him. Just be gracious. And Remy's come out and said that's bullshit, and it is bullshit. At number 3, down a place from last week, is Pedro Acosta. Got turfed out in this one. Not his fault at Valencia. Just got sent. I think it was Foggia that sent him off the track. Great season, rookie world champion. Tempted here to throw him at number 2, but I'll explain why he's not at number 2 in a second. But what a season. And he set himself up early, just coming out of the blocks, and just nobody could go with him. No one. And then he just basically settled into having a season that was pretty standard, to be honest. I mean, he still won races throughout the season and podiums, but he just had a lot of bad races too. And if you take away the first sort of 5 or 6 races, it's pretty tight. I don't know if he's was as good as Dennis Foggia after that, to be honest, but when you're winning races from pit lane and your second Grand Prix or whatever the hell it is, then full power. He's at number 3. What a season. And we do love him. Let's watch out for him next season. Very big chance in Moto 2, but we'll discuss that when we get to our predictions video at the start of next season. Don't worry, that's coming. At number 2, up 4 places from last week, and I did drop him down a lot because there was a lot of title fights and stuff going on, so I had all those guys higher up and whatever, and now that the dust has settled, the second best guy across all 3 classes this season has definitely been Pecco Bagnaia. Second most powerful rider in the MotoGP paddock. Came in with a flurry of wins, really took it to Fabio, and look, at the end of the day, he's crashed out of the lead in his 2 home Grand Prix throughout the 2 of his 3 home Grand Prix, I guess, throughout the season. That's 50 points. That is 50 points that he's put down the road. Now, I'm not saying he would have won. I mean, he would have won in Misano. Not saying he would have won in Mugello because it was like the first lap or something, but he was going. He's probably going to finish on the podium there. Let's call it over 40 points he's been there. Pecco, he'll be ruined that, but he'll be confident going into next year because Ducati looks the strongest package. And if all stays as the direction it's heading, unless Yamaha pulls out some big tricks here, or perhaps Honda, don't see that changing. Gonna have a real tilt next season. He did everything but win the World Championship, really. Fabio Quartararo is our number 1. He's led pretty much the whole season for us here because, I mean, there wasn't, other than when Pecco came strong at the end of the season, there wasn't really any challenges. He just did what he needed to do every single week, got himself a lead in the World Championship. Everyone else was so inconsistent. I don't know why he managed to stay so much more consistent than everyone else. You think everyone else should be focusing on getting their head down. If you can see what he's done there, and you see how Joan Mir won the World Championship last season, really you just be thinking to yourself, hey, if I'm having a bad day and I don't have the pace to go running at the front, I'll just come like 3rd or 4th or 5th and come back next week. And that's what Fabio did. He didn't panic at any point. The only really bad result was his arm pump and then the crash in Portimao, but untouchable all season and number 1, and deservedly so. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of our season of the Rob GP super duper official MotoGP power rankings. There's your top 10. There's obviously a load of guys that we could talk about, some big honourable mentions, and I could go on for another half hour here about talking about every detail of every rider who could have been in there but didn't and why. But you know what? You were watching it. I was watching it. We all know who was good and who wasn't. And we've got to look forward now to a season for the first time in a long time without Valentino Rossi there to entertain us. In the off-season, we do have more videos to come. It's not going to be a nothing now until March. I've got a loads of pretty interesting ideas that I want to do and hopefully get some really cool videos out over the next few months. So subscribe and hit your little bell and all that and make sure you stay notified. And that's it. 2021 season is over. Look ahead on the calendar, see which races you're going to try and book in now to get to next season, because I know that's what I'm going to go do right now. And hopefully I can get to 3 or 4 and make some videos of those as well. So that's it. Have a beautiful time. That's all she wrote. Any other sign-offs I can do? Shit, I can't think of any now. But anyway, have a good one. See you on the next one, which is hopefully not far away.